Well, hello YouTube. How's it going? So, I'm going to start this maybe weekly series of little podcast thingies. Maybe somebody will find it interesting, and if you do, like and subscribe and comment and tell me how you feel about the situation. Every week, I'm gonna tell you guys a story about my life. What happened? If there was anything interesting going on. I can tell you that I have this neighbor who lives under me. I mean, they're a couple, but they're old. And they've renovated their house. The apartment building that I live in is kind of old. We're talking 40 years old or something. So the apartments are having pipe issues, leakage problems, sewer related stuff. And before that there was like a issue with like the radiators. I don't know if you guys have that where you live or if you can like understand what I'm saying, but there's like boiler rooms in like the building complexes that I live in at the moment, and these like send up like warm water and stuff up the pipes, and then you have these radiators that like heat the house, right? So you don't have like a boiler or whatever you guys call it like within the house, like it's a shared thing. And when this happened last year, where like a pipe that's like one of the building's pipes was leaking, this old couple, when this matter could have been fixed like in a few hours, they were like, nope, you cannot dig our ceiling. To like get to the root of the problem, replace the pipe or seal the leakage, whatever you want to call it. It's a crazy place. They just refused. They were like, well, we just renovated our house and this is not happening. And to be honest with you, I'm not the type of person who's confrontational, so I was like, okay. Plus, I'm a tenant, and the landlord apparently doesn't give a damn either. So half of the neighbors, half of the people living in this apartment building, they will not have heat for the upcoming winter. I mean, it's not that cold yet, but I can't see if anybody will step up and like put their foot down and say, hey, dumbass, old ass, senior neighbors, we understand that you've spent money on these walls, but we gotta dig them. But that was like the story of last year. This time around, apparently my kitchen sink and the bathroom sink, the pipes go down, right, and then they join, and the sewage from these like is leaking, right? And the couple have moved their bathroom to a different part of their house. Interesting stuff. So water's coming down their ceiling, their kitchen ceiling. And you know what they did? They waited a whole week until this dude, the husband, the hubby, wears really large eyeglasses. He came along and then he said, well, your shit's leaking. I mean, it's very polite, one of the type that wants to be respected. It's like, hey, there's water coming down. from your apartment into mine. I was like, okay, well, let's take a look. At first I thought it was like the washing machine because like it was on. So dude comes in, old guy, you want to be nice, but at the same time, I guess when people get old, they kind of lose some of their like mental faculty, and it was obvious. I can tell you that. So guy comes in, takes a look. It's like, well, what do we do about this situation? I'm like, I don't know, man. I guess we gotta bring in the plumber. It's like, well, do you want to come down and take a look at my house so you know what I'm talking about? I'm like, okay, fine. Let's do it. So I go down there, talk to the wife. By the way, in that family, the wife wears the pants. Nothing wrong with it, but, interesting stuff to know. And then they're like, well, you see, this area is very damp and, water's coming down. I'm like, where were you last week? Very politely, of course, but, sometimes some people are silly fools and you don't know what to do with it. He's like, well, we waited. I'm like, what, it would just disappear? So I'm like, okay, I work from home. You can get the plumber so we can come and take a look. We had to do it on our end. Got the plumber came in, examined the situation. Turns out that, okay, bathroom sink and the kitchen sink, they're causing the leakage. So if I turn on the faucet, they gonna get wet. Alright, fine. So the plumber says that, well, we have to dig inside the wall of your neighbor. Because the pipes, they of the upper apartment, they are visible from down below. So there's no use in digging up your apartment to go down. But again, right? This couple, they don't understand reason. They're like, if I said this to my cat, I don't have cats. But if I said this to my cat, I think that the cat would understand. They're like, okay, makes sense. We gotta do what we gotta do. It happened. It's very unfortunate. It's gotta be done. Nope. So it's because I did call him to see what's up. It was like, you're not gonna dig my wall. Fuck you. Didn't say fuck you, but he did raise his voice. I'm like, man, so what are you gonna do about it? I can't not use my kitchen sink, right? So your shit's gonna get wet. It's like, well, I'll bring in the cops. I'm like, why bring the cops, right? What, just call your lawyer and sue or something. I'm like, okay, what are they gonna say? They're probably gonna side with me. You just have to let it happen. It was like, good night to you, sir. I'm very young compared to this motherfucker. Very religious. Oh. You gotta love these religious types. They're crazy. And then I have to call the person I'm forced to call my father. When you get older, you have more experience. And plus, he's paying for the apartment that I live in. I know, right? I'm one of those entitled Gen Z mofos who really despise their biological parents. For very good reasons. I don't want to delve into that. So I say hey, this happened. What are we supposed to do? And of course the building representative or building manager, I don't really know the word. If you haven't noticed by now, English is not my native language, and because I don't live in a English speaking country, some of the terminology for me is a little bit off. So let's call him the building president. Calls me and says, it's supposed to be his job to resolve these issues. It's like, yo, I remember that my bathroom ceiling like came down and I didn't even let my neighbor know, and I just sealed that shit up, and like I fixed the pipes and everything. So maybe if you like talk to your neighbor, Mr. like X, let's say, and like try to like convince him that this should be done, would be nice. I'm like, well, I'm the tenant, dude. The landlord has to take care of this stuff. What am I supposed to say? Ugh. So okay, fine. The father talks to the landlord. The landlord says that, okay, well, I'll talk to the neighbor. They talk. The other guy isn't really bright either. Or you could say that he just doesn't want to pay for stuff. I have a hole inside my bedroom wall. Interestingly enough, don't get no bugs, but it's there. No cold, no damp. So it's not as bad. And plus, I just live by myself. It's no big deal. But you know, there it is. So the next day comes. Dude brings in like a plumber, a neighbor. This new plumber says that, well, we have to, take out your kitchen sink and like dig, see what's in there, and then like fix this issue. It will take like 2 days. Like, okay. It costs a bunch of money. They call the landlord. The old guy, his eyes don't see well, despite wearing glasses. And he's kind of a little bit of a dumb fuck too, because like the problem is that like I had given him the landlord's number, but then when I talked to him that night, the night before the plumber stuff, like, hey, did you call the landlord? It's like, you gave me the wrong number. I called and we're like, no, it's the wrong number. This is not Mr. Y. And then I'm like, okay. I checked, by the way, the number was right. I gave him the right number. So they call the landlord and they say, well, it's gonna cost like this much. It's like, man, that's a bunch of money. I can't just make a decision right now. I gotta ask around. I'm like, okay, cool. Bunch of days go by. I think 2 days. They come back. The landlord, the neighbor, and 2 people, who are experts in the plumbing department. And men, I gotta say, bro, I don't know how it is in other places, but men kind of can be really fucking nasty, unclean. And you'd think that it's somebody else's house, right? I gotta be careful, not touch anything, really. Just come in and take care of it. Nope. Touchy-feely. Let me fucking touch anything that, like, is close to my grasp. Or whatever. However you say it, right? Comes in my grasp. And the neighbor who had come in before, I don't have rugs and shit, right? I do have sandals, so you come to my house, you wear sandals. Just wants to come in with his shoes, like from the outside. I'm like, wait a fucking second. Of course, I didn't swear, but very politely I was like, wait a fucking second. What's your step, buddy? Fuck are you doing? Go back. I had to wash my mats again because the motherfucker did walk in, but then he stepped back. And like these men, bro, they touched everything. Nasty ass brutes, you could say. And they come in, like, they discuss amongst themselves what needs to be done. And they're like, well, okay, I guess we gotta dig, but the plumber guy was like very busy, so it's gonna take like a week or 2 until they come back. I'm like, okay, I'll be nice. I'll say like, hey, well, I'll make sure that I eat outside so that I don't have to wash the dishes and use the sink very much. they're like, oh, you know, because like they're men, right? Nasty. Like, how do these people live? Right? I mean, the place I live, like, is a little bit less civilized, but come on, bro, it's 2024, right? They're like, well, you could wash the dishes, like, somewhere else, like, maybe, like, in your tub, the equivalent of it. And I just didn't say anything. I held my tongue. I held my tongue because I also, like, teach. So as a teacher, you have to put up with a lot of nonsense thrown at you by your clients, students, call them whatever, right? Anywho, I'm like, okay, I didn't hear that, right? Stupid idiot, like middle-aged man just making boomer-ass comments. Fine, I let that one slide. And then this dude, one of the guys, he just like enters my fucking bathroom with this one of the sandals that like one pair of the sandals that you're supposed to use outside of that area, right? So it's like it's nasty, it's very nasty. And then I just held my tongue. I was like, like mentally I had a moment. Oh, come on. They leave. I fucking mop the floor. I clean everywhere, right? Get rid of the germ that was like fucking left by these motherfuckers. And I just feel bad. I had to wash all the sandals. And then I walked around like with my socks. I don't really like that, right? Because you can't sleep in your bed like your socks, especially like socks that like have been used for like walking on tiles and shit, and you get dust everywhere. So there's also that. But hey, much as I remembered, right, like where these people like walked and like whatever they touched, sorry about that time. I cleaned it. And here we are. Just want to let you guys know, what happened. Just, I guess this is a more general request I want to make. Men, penis havers, when you're on the seat, sit down. It doesn't, take away from your masculinity. You'll miss the mark. You'll make the toilet dirty. Okay? You'll make the bathroom tiles yellow. Another thing is that, try to be a little bit more clean, right? Like, sometimes I feel like we all, not me, Jesus. But sometimes we may have the urge to, piss in the kitchen sink. Some people do that. Men. I don't know how it's done, to be honest. I don't understand the justification. Like the thought process that goes that leads to such an action. But don't do it. Don't do it. Try to be a little bit cleaner, okay? Maybe the next generation of men will be a little bit more sanitary overall. So yeah, that's the moral of the story. You come to a stranger's house, don't touch stuff, right? Be polite, be nice. Try to abide by the rules. You can't know everything, but be cautious. And then maybe understand the difference between a bathroom and the living room, right? Would be nice. Don't touch stuff if you know that your hands are dirty. But then again, handyman, right? If you're a handyman, fine, I'll understand. But if you live in a house and if you're my neighbor, you come up, bro, I will judge you. I don't want to make this go over 20 minutes, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, subscribe, comment. Tell me about a similar experience. As a man, as a woman. I want to know. So, Bye bye until our next episode. Ciao ciao.